Today we are live in the kitchen. We're cooking today. Laura Kirtley is cooking at Adelino's Old World Kitchen in downtown Lafayette. Seafood paella is on the menu this morning. Good morning to you, Laura.
Good morning, Joe. Yes, we are making seafood paella, which really means a rice dish. Paella means rice dish. Mm-hmm. And we've made the rice, and it's cooking now. Mm-hmm. We cooked that for about a half hour.
About a half an hour. Uh-huh.
And then we let it cool in the refrigerator.
Right.
And then we start working on the bulk of the meal.
On the bulk of the meal,
okay.
Exactly. So we start off, and it's a very simple saute process. The key to sauteing is to make sure that first your pan is hot before you start to do anything. Okay, so we've had this now going for about 2 minutes on really high temp. So we add in our oil, and you can tell right off the bat that the pan is hot. Mm-hmm. In goes our onions, our red bell peppers, our green bell peppers, because we want to get some nice color in the dish, because you eat with your eyes as well, Laura. I don't know about you, but I do anyways.
It is
so we get that
colors.
started. Add in our little neck clams. You can use steamers as well if you'd rather. Okay. Some mussels in here. And then lastly, the first step is to get in our shrimp. Now, all you're going to do then is toss it around a little bit. Try to get the shrimp to the bottom of the pan so that it can get the direct heat. Because all you're really wanting to do here is saute this up until the shrimp itself turns pink. Mm-hmm. The only way that's going to happen is get it onto the heat instead of being up on top of everything. So give it about 10-15 seconds. You can already see this one starting to turn a little bit.
Oh, that was fast.
Okay, and then flip them over. And then we're ready for the next step. So it's about a 3-minute total cook time here as you're going, but your real gauge is the shrimp itself.
Now, what about the other seafood in there? How are you knowing that that's cooked, or are you just saying it's based on the shrimp? And then
it's based on the shrimp because we're going to continue to add more product into the mix here as we're going, so it's still going to have time to go. By the time we get in the oven for 10 minutes, everything else is a good 15 to 20 minutes worth of cook time, so you're not going to have to worry about any of that.
And now you're saying this is a seafood paella, but in any sort of paella, the one you offer here has, you said, sausage and...
We've got one here that is a chorizo sausage, which is a true Spanish sausage that's imported from over there, and we mix that in with some chicken and a little bit of bacon into the mix, along with, obviously, the colorful vegetables, etc. And then... You know, we've done vegetarian ones as well. You can do any basic type of combination. It doesn't really matter because, again, the word paella means rice dish. It doesn't mean what the rest of the ingredients are. And, I mean, you can go to every different village throughout Spain, and they all make their paellas differently depending on what they have. So it's a great dish because it really is a throw-all, catch-all type of a thing. The only important thing is that you've got the right rice mixture in there, which is cooking right now as we go.
Okay. Much more to come here in the kitchen. We're going to finish cooking this up. We'll get our rice out. We'll finish making the recipe for the rest of the hour. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. It's quite a beauty when you take a look at it when it's done. Not too bad.
You can almost smell it from downtown Lafayette.
I bet you can. I bet you can.
Just a little bit.
Work on that smell-o-vision.
Exactly. Laura, thank you very much. Once again, WLFI.com. You can go over to the Lifestyles tab and go down to In the Kitchen. You can see the recipe that Laura's cooking up this morning at Adelino's, as well as the past segments as well.
So it looks like it could be fairly easy, maybe, at least so far.
Yeah, there's a recipe to follow, itemized.
Certainly
I got it right here.
out.
It's a couple pages long, but you saw the end result.
Yeah.
You're going to see the end result, rather.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the beginning of our day, not the end result. Pretty cold start. Okay. Welcome back. Today we're going live in the kitchen. Laura Kirtley is live at Adelino's Old World Kitchen in Lafayette. Seafood paella on the menu this morning. Good Wednesday morning to you, Laura.
Good morning, Joe. We are hard at work here in the kitchen, and by we, I mean Chef Rosa here, as we make our seafood paella. When we left you last, we had started the rice, we had added some ingredients, we still have more to go here.
Correct, okay, and as we had talked about, we said your timing is basically 3 minutes, or once your shrimp get to a nice pink state. So they're at the pink state, so we're ready to add the next. So in go the pepper flakes to give it that little bite. Lots of more butter because butter is a man's best friend. Scallops. I like to start with the big U10 scallops, which are 10 per pound, and cut them up. They're much sweeter than if you buy the really small scallops to start with, so that's my own personal preference.
Okay.
We've got a whole quart of chopped clams in here to add into it. Beautiful frozen peas. I let them thaw just because I do. Okay. And then I always throw in about a pound of some type of fish. Traditionally, you can do things like a monkfish or a sea bass or something. I like salmon only because it's more readily available and it's a lot cheaper. And when you're mixing a bunch of stuff in, you don't want your costs to go absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So then we, again, put this in and we let it, again, just simmer for about another 3 to 4 minutes before we go to the next phase.
So at this point, we have several different types of seafood, and you could do fresh or you could do frozen. I mean, since we're here in Indiana, let's be honest, we're going to have to do a lot of frozen.
You're going to use a lot of frozen product or stuff that they catch fresh, but they're temporary freezing as they're sending it out here. Unless you have a direct stream like we do, where they'll fly it into the airport and ship it up to you on a daily type of a basis. But for the average homeowner, if they're shopping at one of the grocery stores, that stuff's coming in frozen already, and what they're doing is thawing it for you. So again, now we just let this go, and we're going to saute it again. We're on a high heat for about 3 minutes time, and then we'll go to the next step.
So really, this part, the part that takes the longest is probably the rice.
The rice is going to take the longest. You're looking at a good half hour in the oven to get it to where it needs to be. And again, you know, we've got that now done and ready because we've been going long enough with it. Everything else, it's about 3 minutes, and then you add more stuff for about 3 minutes. Then you add some more stuff, stick it in the oven for 10, and you're done with. So if you do this right, this is an easy meal even for when you get home.
Yeah.
If you've got everything already ready ahead of time, you made the rice the night before, you come in, you've got all your ingredients, and you go quickly, and it's faster than Hamburger Helper.
And so much better and better for you.
A little bit better for you, a little bit more
butter.
tasty with lots of that extra butter. And, of course, you know, butter is what gets us to be where we are. So.
That's how I like it. Okay, well, we have much more to come in the kitchen. We'll be right back.
Today we're going inside the kitchen. We're live at Adelino's Old World Kitchen in downtown Lafayette. Laura Curley has been live with us throughout the broadcast, serving up some seafood paella.
We have been hard at work all morning here, Joe, and we continue the sautéing process, and we're going to get a little bit further in this and getting closer to that end where we get to eat it, which is the best part of all. So,
of course.
Which is the part I look forward to because I just kind of watch while he does all the work. So we continue here the sautéing process. We've added all of our seafood, our peas.
Basically, we've got everything in there minus the rice, which we've already cooked off ahead of time, as we talked about, and it's now ready. But before we do that, we have to add a quart of clam juice because that rice, remember, we've cooked off earlier, and now it's in the refrigerator, so it's gotten dried out. So now we're putting in a bunch of clam juice so that we can get that rice nice and moist, a little bit of salt and pepper. I like to do a 4-to-1 ratio of salt to pepper.
Okay.
To me, it just makes the perfect sense. And then we take all that beautiful rice that we had, and we just kind of form a lid with the rice on top. Spread that all out. And now here's the really hard, difficult part. We open up the oven, we stick it in, and 10 minutes later, we're all set and ready to eat.
Okay, so then the rice sort of absorbs that clam juice.
The rice absorbs all the juice and gets nice and fluffy and moist again, and with the butter and everything else that's in there, it's just nice and creamy and all set to eat.
So for those of you who weren't watching earlier, we cooked the rice first.
Cook the rice first ahead of time. Basically, it's a 2-to-1 ratio, rice to water, a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of paprika. That's the cheaper way to substitute saffron, as we spoke about earlier, because saffron is such an expensive spice to use. And we put that in the oven. We bake it. We don't boil it. That's the other important part as far as that goes, for about 30 minutes at 350. And we let it cool down and finish off, and that way it's not all clumpy and mushy together.
Okay, and so then we'll let this cook for about 10 minutes?
About 10 minutes. Basically, all we're really doing is letting the juice get sucked up by the rice at this point because the rest of the dish is done.
Okay, this is the exciting part. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. At the end of the hour here, we're going to sample our great creation, the seafood paella. We'll send it back to you guys.
Who can we get to sample this fine dish?
I don't know. I'm confused.
Laura, can you
Who's
think of
gonna
anybody?
do that?
Did I say we? I meant me.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There we go.
Maybe I'll pack some.
I like how she calls it the exciting part because that's the part where I dread because I sit here with jealousy.
And mouth watering and all that. Weather forecast, did I hear right, almost in the 40s?
Almost in the 40s. We're at 50 degrees right now, so definitely a cool start to our day. We'll be warming up, though. It's going to.
You're watching News Channel 18 this morning. News from where you live.
We've been coming to you all morning long from Adelino's Old World Kitchen in downtown Lafayette, making seafood paella with Chef Rosa. And now it's time to feast. And tell me, how do we eat this? What's the best way to serve this?
The easiest way to serve it is to take your spoon and get a little bit of it up on your plate. You get some rice in there. You got a nice clam, some shrimp. You told me you never had a mussel before, so you have to have a mussel.
Okay.
And then basically all you're going to do is take your little lemon here, squeeze it on the top there, and you're all good to go.
Okay, so with the mussel, do I pick it out?
Just put it right in your mouth and suck it on out. It's the easiest way. This is not a pretty dish to eat. You don't have to be ladylike. You just enjoy it.
That is good. All the flavors, so delicious. So we put all sorts of different seafood. But you can add anything to this.
It's basically can be a mixed pot of whatever you happen to have handy. Because again, paella means a rice dish. That's all that the word means. So it's whatever you happen to have. There's no true recipe for this is the only paella that you can have. So you haven't tried the mussel yet.
Oh, I picked it out.
Oh, did you get it? All right.
I'll try the clam. Yeah, it was really good. Now, you have an event coming up that people can come and it's so hard to talk and eat at the same time. Where people can sample some wine, maybe help out a good cause at the same time. Sure.
On October the 1st, we're having a wine tasting in our ballroom upstairs. That's going to benefit the Long Center for Performing Arts. It's $50 a head to come in, $75 at the door. Tickets are available here, and all the money is going to the Long Center to help them on the functions that they do. We'll have about 100 different bottles of wine from throughout the Mediterranean. We'll have a bunch of different tapas-style foods up there to sample as you're walking around. Buy some wine to take home. Auction a little bit of the wine off. So, you got wine, food. It's just a good time.
How do you go wrong? Okay, we're going to continue eating the paella. Got some sangria as well. It's all a nice little mix here. First thing in the morning. Thanks for having us today.
Not a problem at all. We appreciate you coming.
Okay, recipe online, WLFI.com. Send it back to you guys.
The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
The sangria.
Sangria, right?
And sangria. Cheers.
Nice.
Have a good day at work, everybody.
Top of the morning to you, Laura. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. That's a lot of fun.
It
Good
really
to see
is.
how all those dishes come together.
And now I just want to try some.
After the forecast, though, right?
After the forecast, out the door forecast does look like it's going to be a gorgeous day today. Lots of sunshine. Your high 77 degrees. Northwest wind picks up 5 to 15 miles an hour.
All right, hold on to your hats. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. The early show is up next. Have a great Wednesday.